Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, baby, welcome to the Gridiron. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking awesome. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live, or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. Description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. If you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I got three different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. And also, just underneath that, an additional link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,500 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I ain't putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, you always wanted to have that whatever, the fairy tale ending, or however you want to say it, or whatever. Two cowboys get on a horse and ride off into the sunset together and all that stuff. You want Eli and Tom Coughlin going in together. Well, I mean, it's still a possibility, but for it happening to go into the Hall of Fame for next season, the two of them, that's not going to happen. Simply because Coughlin got snubbed. He got it, right? Does not guarantee, okay, that Eli's going in either. Eli's, is become a semi-finalist, so there's a chance. So you tell me you got a chance, huh? Yes, I'm telling you we got a chance. So there's a chance Eli might go in. But as far as Coughlin and Eli going in the Hall of Fame next season, not going to happen. Now, it's one of those things. It's as far as I'm concerned, anyway. There's people that'll debate. Obviously, there's people out there that says Eli. The people that don't know anything about football say that Eli is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. But as far as anyway. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when the two go into the Hall. Right? It's just, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Tom Brady. You could just go over, so many, as far as like quarterbacks, it's time for Patrick Mahomes, right? Otto Graham, if you want, go back in time there, Sammy Baugh, there's certain guys, certain quarterbacks that, when you're talking about first ballot Hall of Fame, goes boom, they're right in there. As I said, for me, I could certainly see without question, right? Eli, tossing and turning. I mean, he had that helmet guy, the touchdown, the Super Bowl. What's his winning percentage? And the losing records and all this. It's kind of. I can see where you can go. I understand. So I can see where, it's maybe not, a super duper lock first shot ballot, because if he winds up going in there, battling out like against maybe a Ben Roethlisberger, well, he might have a hard time. Going in there against Drew Brees, even though he won more Super Bowls than Drew, right? As I said, I can't stand Drew Brees, but what I don't know what we're talking about. 75% of his games are all indoors, and he's a great passer and all that. But I can't stand the guy. But I mean, if he's going in, if Eli's trying to go in at the same time, Tom Brady can go in. That's not happening. Right? Tom Brady's going to get the nod. You know what I mean? So, so this is a perfect time for Eli to go in. He's not battling any other quarterback. Right? Perfect time for him to get in. But I said, for me, it's just maybe, if you tell me he's not a lock and he doesn't get in on the first shot, okay. I'm not going to argue with that. But, to me, one of the top things that they always go by, that I always say is what happens in the big game. When he's, when he's the big, and he's he's shot down the GOAT twice. He took care of an 18-0 Patriots team. He was a Super Bowl. Not only did he win the Super Bowl twice, not only did he direct Super Bowl winning drives. Basically, it was like, all right, Eli, here's the football. See the clock? Right. We got the ball. There it is, right? You got it in your hands. If you don't score in this drive, we lose. No pressure, right? He took care of that two times. I mean, the helmet catch, hey, that was more Tyree than anything else. That wasn't Eli just pinpointing it. Well, I'm going to throw it, and he's going to catch it on his helmet. I'm going to pin him. What you could do is, he broke away from being sacked, on that one. But there's no denying that Manningham throw was unfreaking believable. Threw the ball about from where he stood to where Manningham caught it, about 50 yards, put it like in a spot. I mean, 2 feet farther is probably too far for him. 2 feet over here, maybe, if he throws it where Manningham has to catch the ball on his shoulder, the safety's coming over. I can't remember the two guys that were covering. But, maybe the safety knocks the ball out 2 feet, maybe farther over here. Maybe it's too far out of bounds. 2 feet farther here, he's got to turn around. The safety actually the cornerback that was covering him actually had his hand on Manningham's shoulder before the ball. If you slow it down, as Manningham's getting ready to catch the ball, the cornerback comes over, his hands lands on Manningham's shoulder before Manningham actually touches the ball. So it was pass interference. But I mean, that throw is undeniable. Right? As I said, the 2 game winning, right? And remember the scores, they were not very high, right? Right? Was it 17-15? I think it was in Super Bowl 46, right? And 14-10. So it wasn't like the teams are just walking up and down the field, and the Giants put up 85 points in the one Super Bowl, and they were just walking up and down the field, and it was just a matter of time. No, I mean it was Giants scored 10 points. Yeah, well, I don't remember when we got the ball back 3 minutes to go, whatever it was in 42, right? I mean, it wasn't much time. So whatever it was, we scored 10 points, against the Patriots in the first 57 minutes. Yeah, so the odds of you having to score in that one drive ain't too good, right? But he did it. Same thing in the other game, right? I mean, the Giants had 15 points. 2 of them were on a safety. Tom Brady was called for grounding. He threw the ball out the midfield while he was about to get sacked in the end zone, right? So 2 points for a safety. So the Giants, other than that, just before that, right, we scored 13 points. It's not a lot of points, right? But he directed a game-winning drive. He was an MVP of 2 Super Bowls, not just one. He got lucky. No, twice. Because that's what the naysayers. Every blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. No, he did it twice for those jack wagons out there. The naysayers. He did it twice. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, won 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl drives, directed them, right? So to me, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when Eli goes into the Hall of Fame. Now, for Tom Coughlin, apparently, the coach, the old time coach, I guess that they're I guess, going after here is, right now anyway, is, looks like, was it Holmgren? Coach Mike Holmgren. The Pro Football Hall of Fame finals for 2025 is Coach Mike Holmgren. Then the seniors are Sterling Sharp, and he's got to go in without question. Maxie Bourne, Jim Tyrer, and contributor is NFL co-founder Ralph Hay. And Robert Kraft, is not going to go in. Let's see, 3 of the 5 who get 80% or more votes will be inducted. Now the thing is, Maxie Bourne was a decent linebacker. He played quite a while for a couple different teams. Sterling Sharp, to me, that's just a matter of when he gets in. I mean, fantastic ball player. Jim Tyrer, with him, he was. You look at his credentials from the AFL, is just unparalleled. As a tackle, I believe it was 6'6", 280, something like that. But the thing that with Jim Tyrer, that's always going to cast a shadow over. If you look at Jim Tyrer, you go on Wikipedia. All AFL, the great, AFL All Pro. Just on and on. The guy was just unbelievable for the Chiefs. They had Buddy or Bud, whatever his name was, and a guard, and had Jim Tyrer as their tackle. That one side of the line for the Chiefs was just fantastic. But the thing is, always going to cast a shadow over Jim Tyrer's, resume is the fact that he basically, I guess this the had brain damage from playing football. It was like Mike Webster did. As a lot of these guys did, but they became violent. And unfortunately for Jim Tyrer, 1908, he retired in 74. After 74, he played his final season was with the Redskins with George Allen, and after that he retired. And then in 1980, unfortunately, he had 4 kids. He took a gun and he killed his wife, and then he killed himself. So it was like a murder-suicide, and he left his 4 children without any parents. So that's always going to cast a shadow over what he did in the NFL. But it was the reason he did that was probably because what happened in the NFL. One of the things was his head was so big. He's a big guy, but his head was very big. And he was always, he played like 180 games. He played a lot. But his padding inside his helmet was so thin. Apparently they had to take some padding out and stuff. And the padding was like about a half an inch thick. It's like, that's no protection at all, especially back then. That's absolutely nothing. And you figure game in and game out, he kept banging his head. And he had unbelievable brain damage, and I'm sure that's what contributed to him killing his wife and taking his own life. Such a shame. So that's always going to cast a shadow over his career. But so they're going after Mike Holmgren. Seems like he's the coach. So I got this article here I'll read real fast. We got Coughlin is snubbed from this year's Hall of Fame ballot. Pro Football Hall of Fame has released its 2025 finalist, and legendary New York Giants head coach Tom Coughlin is not the coaching finalist. Instead, Mike Holmgren will get the nod. Holmgren won Super Bowl 31 as head coach of the Packers. He also won two Super Bowls as offensive coordinator under Bill Walsh and George Seifert with the 49ers. Well, Tom Coughlin won a Super Bowl as the wide receivers coach for the Giants. So, Holmgren was the head coach of the Packers from 92 to 98, and then went to the Seahawks, right, from 1999 to 2008. He took Matt Hasselbeck and Shaun Alexander to the Super Bowl, where they wound up losing to the Steelers. So see, to me, that is, I mean, but you also got to look back, with Holmgren, back in that era, right, in the NFC, there was no dominant. You can almost say the Eagles were a dominant team back then, although they only went to one Super Bowl. They went to 4 straight championship games every year. They were going to champ. They kept losing. They did go to the one Super Bowl where they lost to the Patriots. So, I mean, you can almost say the Eagles were a dominant team there, although they only went to one Super Bowl. But, I mean, if you look back then, the NFC, I mean, is like, if anything, from 2000 to 2011, the Giants went in the NFC, went to 3 Super Bowls. They went to the most Super Bowls out of any team back then, right? But there was really no dominant team. Like, I mean, you look at, how we took this Seattle Seahawks, Holmgren, to the Super Bowl. Like I said, there was no dominant team. I mean, like back in the 60s. Actually, whatever you want to say. Go back to the 50s was the Browns. 60s, Lombardi, the Packers, right? 70s was the Cowboys in the NFC. Talking about, right? 80s was the 49ers. 90s was the Cowboys. But I mean, once we after the Cowboys were kind of done, it was kind of like, there was really nobody for a long, extensive period of time or anything like that. I mean, the Packers went, 96 and 97. I mean, the Rams went and the Giants went. The Packers went 2 times in a row. Then the Falcons went. Then the Rams went. Then the Giants went. Then the Rams went. Then the Buccaneers went. Carolina went, the Seahawks went, the Eagles went, the Bears went, the Giants went, the Cardinals went, the Saints went, the Packers went, the Giants went, the 49ers went. I mean, it's just like there was really no dominant team from after the Cowboys, right? They won 3 out of 4. Right, so it was really no dominant team, but so he took the Seahawks, Holmgren, to a Super Bowl, But a lot of it was with Shaun Alexander, the running. Had a good defense, but they had the running game, really good running game. It was Hasselbeck was the quarterback. There was no, Hall of Fame quarterback there or nothing like that. So he took in not a really. I say, because after that year, I believe after I think after the year after the Seahawks went, I think that the Bears went. The Bears, didn't have a great quarterback. So it was a weak era for NFC. I mean, obviously, of course, back then, Roethlisberger started coming out in 2004. But I mean, Manning was there, Brady was there, so we had, they had some real good guys, starting to. I mean, obviously the Patriots were in almost, it seemed like every other Super Bowl back then. But I mean, Holmgren, he went to 3 Super Bowls. He only won 1 though, right? He had if you look at his overall coaching record, it's better than he was what? His coaching winning percentage is 592. Tom Coughlin is 531. Tom Coughlin was 170 and 150. Holmgren was 161 and 111. So Holmgren won 50 more games than he lost. Tom Coughlin only won 20 more games. Although, as I said, when Coughlin went to a Super Bowl, took a team to a Super Bowl, he won. He's 2-0 in the Super Bowl, obviously, thanks to Eli. But let's not forget, Holmgren went to 2 back-to-back Super Bowls after the 96 and 97 season with the Packers with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Brett Favre, right? Although, as I said, Holmgren went to a Super Bowl. He's 1-2. Coughlin's 2-0. Coughlin's had more losing seasons. I think I counted. I think he had like 9 losing seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or maybe 8. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. He had 8. Mike Holmgren has only had a couple losing seasons. It was his last one. He was 4-12, and then he just, it's age 60. He stepped away. But I mean, he had what, 1, 2, 3. He had 3 losing seasons. Holmgren coached 17 seasons, and Coughlin coached 20. Coughlin had 8 years with Jacksonville. Now you can also look at with Jacksonville as well too. Is that he took a brand new expansion team in their second season. He took them to the championship game. He took them to 2 championship games. The first year they were 4-12, I think it was. Yeah. Then they went to 9-7. Then they went 11-5, 11-5, 14-2. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they were. I mean, to take an expansion team that early on to a championship is kind of mind blowing. But he did that. So I mean, Coughlin, it's just, to me, it's just a matter of when. Let's see what else we got here. Coughlin was a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and he won. Of course, then he won, obviously, Super Bowl 25 as the Giants wide receivers coach. He finished his career with a 182 and 157 winning percentage and won Coach of the Year in 1996. Just one season after establishing the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. In 8 seasons at Jacksonville, Coughlin helmed the most successful expansion team in league history. The Jaguars made 4 consecutive playoff appearances and went to 2 AFC championship games, with Coughlin leading the way. Since Coughlin left after 2002, Jacksonville has had 4 playoff appearances with 1 AFC championship loss. Just to goes to show you what Coughlin did with Jacksonville. Coughlin also thwarted NFL history by conquering the undefeated 2007 New England Patriots, led by arguably the best coach and quarterback in league history. Moreover, the Giants became one of the worst franchises in the NFL over the last decade after Coughlin was replaced. Several esteemed coaches are waiting alongside of Coughlin. Mike Shanahan, George Seifert. I'm not impressed with George Seifert. Sorry. He was given a phenomenal 49er team. And, he just kind of kept the ball rolling. And after Seifert left the 49ers, he went to Carolina, and that was a disaster. So there's no way Seifert gets in. Absolutely not. Above Coughlin. And Chuck Knox. Chuck Knox never went to a Super Bowl. So Coughlin gets in. Coughlin gets the nod before Knox does. Among others, Coughlin is also one of just 2 eligible coaches with 175 career wins and multiple Super Bowl victories. He retired from coaching 9 years ago and is still waiting. Hopefully, that wait will cease at the decade mark. So, what they're saying here is hopefully next year his wait will be over. Now, he's getting up there in age. Let's see, how old is he? So here, 1946. So my dad's 85. So he's 78, right? So, so he's getting up there. Right? So hopefully, doesn't have to wait too much longer. But I mean, to me, it's just a matter of time, not if, but when. I mean, it's not like he's not like Vince Lombardi, Chuck Noll, guys who won like 4 or 5 Super Bowls and stuff. Or Lombardi won 5 championships. He won 61, 62, 65, 66, 66. He got 5. Chuck Noll got 4 Super Bowls. Landry, he's not like that. But for him not to be in the Hall of Fame eventually is rather ridiculous. It just, unfortunately, they'll have to wait. And as I said, we were kind of hoping that maybe Eli can go in with Tom Coughlin together. That would be fantastic. And if Eli doesn't go in this season, once again, there's a chance maybe next year, maybe the two go in. But I'm kind of hoping Eli will go in this season because I said, because he's like not battling any other top-notch quarterback. It's only him. So keep your fingers crossed that Eli goes into the Hall of Fame next season. That'd be fantastic. All right. Well, and of course, we're talking New York Giants. You got to talk bad news, right? So, of course, the injuries just keep on piling up for the New York Football Giants. It really is. It's just absolutely freaking amazing. Like you got a team that's down. You just keep kicking them, It's really, putting a guy. I mean, of course, it's football. Every team is dealing with injuries, But of course, it just hurts you when it's your own team, And it just seems like you can't get a break. And it's like you just look back at the season. It's like, scratch it. Well, I mean, I guess you can't say. I mean, but you look back and say, has one thing gone right for the Giants this year? I'm saying, I mean, we always, relish the Isaiah Simmons jumping over the line, blocking the field goal, running it back right? We had that, right? That's probably pretty much, and we did complete like one or two passes during the season. So we got that going for it. But I mean, other than that, it's like, it's just unbelievable. It really is. It's like they just, when you're down, you get kicked when you're down. It's like, man. So injuries mount for the Giants in the final stretch, and this too was, you were kind of hoping, right? You had that, obviously some of the guys got injured, we put them on injured reserve and all that, but you were kind of hoping maybe you had that bye week. Some guys that, a lot of guys that, that were a little banged up would have a week off. And then, also, I mean, kind of like with this too, like you had the Cowboy game, then you had 10 days off until your next game. So you kind of hope maybe you can get some guys back or whatever. But it's like, nope. Well, we are getting one guy back. One guy's, we're going to talk about him. His window's opened up. So, but he's not, So it's never good when the first few minutes of an NFL coach's news conference is dominated by injury news, as Brian Daboll's was today. While listening, meaning today, right, was meaning Wednesday. While listing the group of players who missed practice and later detailing their injuries, Daboll announced Drew Lock will be the starting quarterback when the Giants face the Saints. Lock started on Thanksgiving. Tommy DeVito had suffered a forearm injury 4 days earlier against the Buccaneers. DeVito has improved, was limited in practice, and could be the number 2 quarterback versus the Saints. He was inactive as the 3rd quarterback last week. Daboll said, I think Tommy's improving. He'll throw out here today, probably do some show team reps. Drew's going to take all the reps with the ones today, and he'll be the quarterback this week. And if Tommy is well enough to be the 2nd quarterback, he will be. And if not, it'll be Mr. Boyle. But I think he's trending in the right direction. We'll see where he is today. Daboll was asked if the quarterback decision was based on DeVito's health or Locke being the better quarterback. And he said, I'd say Drew did some good stuff in Dallas, Daboll said. He also did some things that he can improve on. I want to give him a full week of preparation practice to let him go out and there and play this week. That latter point is significant. Locke hasn't had a full practices with the starters since spring, well before the players put on pads. Daniel Jones took the first team reps in training camp and in the first 10 weeks of the season, and DeVito assumed that those reps before week 11 with the clash with the Buccaneers. So Locke has been limited to walkthroughs before the short week game in Dallas. I think the reps helped a ton, Locke said. I'd say anybody in his position would say the same thing. Getting back out there, letting them hear your cadence, letting them hear you calling in a huddle, rhythm and timing with the receivers. That is freaking huge. Let me tell you. Even rhythm and timing for me with my feet on certain plays. Whatever we've got up this week, it helps tremendously. I'm excited and appreciative of getting a little practice time with the guys. Let's see. So we got, for more than a week, reports on the Giants' injury situation has been as constant as updates on headline news. Before the Dallas game, obviously, right, defensive lineman Armand Watts and edge rusher Azeez Ojulari were placed on injury reserve. Against the Cowboys, two-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence with his elbow and rookie tight end Theo Johnson with a foot sustained season-ending injuries. Oh, yeah. Dable said Johnson underwent surgery yesterday, I guess, meaning Tuesday, I guess. Dable said, unfortunately, he said, it'll be some time there, which is too bad. Dable said he was really doing a nice job. Great young man, worked extremely hard. Feel terrible for him. Tough. I mean, he did it toward the end of the game, and unfortunately, he kept playing through it. He didn't really know anything was wrong until after the game when he got looked at. Regarding Sexy, who leads a team with a career-high 9 sacks, Dable said he's just swollen, sore, but he didn't have to get surgery. So that's cool. Good for him. Today's injured players included some old and some new. Tackle Evan Neal with a hip. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, obviously you feel bad for him, but obviously the fan in you is just, this guy, you're fuming, you're foaming at the mouth. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you just, once again, you feel bad for him and blah, 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 all that stuff. But the guy, he was hurt, had all this time off, and he comes and he plays like one game, and now his hip is injured. It's like somebody's can they walk and chew gum at the same time without like popping Achilles tendon or something? It's like, how do these guys make it through college? I mean, swear to God, how do these guys make it through college? How do high school? How do they make it walking across the street? I mean, some of these guys can't walk onto a field with a bam, popping an ACL or something. What the is wrong with some of these guys? I mean, it's just like, it's okay, he injured. All right, he's been off for 37 years. Okay, he's coming into his own. Okay, he's healthy. He's good. All right, go out there, Evan. Go play some football. One play later, he's coming off the side. I think I hurt my hip. It's like, what the f- wrong with you, dude? It's unbelievable. Bobby Okereke with a back. He did not practice after playing 100%. Evan Neal played 100%, and Bobby Okereke played 97% of their snaps in Dallas. Should Neal not play, Joshua Zudu will start at right tackle. Oh, my God. So we might have Zudu over here. Oh, boy. The other non-participants were defensive tackle Raheem Nunez-Ortiz, neck and a shoulder, so he's got like a stinger, who was hurt in the second half against the Cowboys, plus 2 players who were inactive last week, Jermaine Illuminor with a quad and cornerback Tay Banks with a rib. Dable said each of those 5 players is week to week, not day to day, week to week. But regarding the chance to play Sunday, he said, I think they all have a chance, but I think it's too early to tell how optimistic I am with it. I mean, if he starts saying week to week, I mean, that's, If he says day to day, okay. But he says week to week, don't know. Karake's absence would be significant, particularly after the loss of Lawrence. In 2 seasons with the Giants, he's missed only 20 snaps. And they were all this year. Let's not forget last season. What was it, McKinney? Right? I think it was McKinney. And Karake played every snap last year. Right? Let's see. He leads the Giants with 93 tackles, 1 more than rookie safety Tyler Nubin, after posting 149 stops in 2023, when his nearest teammate had 33 fewer tackles. Karake has not missed a game since December 6, 2020, when he was a second-year pro with the Colts. He's sore right now with it, and it's getting better, but we'll see where he's at, Dable said. Giants have Micah McFadden and rookie Darius Musa at the inside linebackers, plus Matthew Adams and Ty Summers, though they are primarily special teamers who have combined for one defensive snap this season. Wow. McFadden or Musa would wear the green dot, signifying that they would receive and relay the defensive calls from coordinator Shane Bowen. In addition, Deontay Johnson, who has been on injury reserve all season after spraining his ankle in preseason, returned to practice. Bobby's been a good leader for us, Dable said. Hopefully he'll be ready to play. And if he's not, the young guys are going to have to step in and do a good job. Then you look at the defensive line, right? It's like Dable wants to see the same response on the defensive line with Lawrence sideline. You got DJ Davidson, who hurt his shoulder in Dallas, was limited in practice. Giants also have Jordan Riley, who's limited with a knee injury. Elijah Chapman, newly signed Corey Durden, Casey Rogers, and Elijah Garcia are on the practice squad. You can't replace Dexter, Dable said. I'd say we have a number of injuries on the defensive line right now, so we have a lot of young players that are going to have to. They've been working hard to continue to improve. Andre Patterson has done a nice job with them, but you're never going to replace Dexter. And we'll see where Nacho is, and DJ too. We've got some guys injured in that spot. These young guys are going to have to do a nice job of doing the best they can. If Okereke can't play, the Giants will have just one of their elected captains in uniform. Daniel Jones, obviously, we know what happened to him. Andrew Thomas, we know what happened to him. And Dexter Lawrence, we know what happened to him. And Bobby Okereke, we know. So it's like, it's unbelievable. We had 5 captains, 4 of them all can't play. You have some veterans in the room, guys like Greg Van Roten and people who have had played a while that have done a good job in their leadership role, Dable said. But captains were down on them. That happens when injuries advance to a football team. You got that right. It's just it's like you got to throw your arms up. It's like, is anything ever going to happen right again for the New York Football Giants? It's just unbelievable. Just shake your head. So obviously one of the big things is, what's going to happen for the New York Giants in the quarterback future, right? So there was an article here that talked about bridge quarterbacks or bridge options for the Giants in 2025. Now, obviously this could it goes either way, right? For the bridge quarterback, it could be where you wind up grabbing, the quarterback right next season, and that way you have for a couple of seasons. Obviously, he's not probably. Unless you grab, we're going to talk about Justin Fields. If he comes in and he takes off, go. Bring it on, brother. All right. We got our quarterback. But, you don't know. But, you bring the quarterback in, and whether or not you get a quarterback in the draft next season or not, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I think right now the Giants have the number 1 pick. Still got 5 games to go. Long way to go. Anything can happen. You win a game or 2 or something like that, right? You go from pick number 1 down to pick number 10 or whatever. So, but once again, we got a long way to go. It'll be a tough game. We got so many banged up players. We can't stop the run, and they got Alvin Kamara. So it's not going to be easy against the Saints. But said you have a lot of options at quarterback going into next season. And I said whether you get one of these bridge quarterbacks, right, and you draft somebody that way, you put the bridge quarter. Just talking about Justin Fields. So if somehow we were able to get Justin Fields, right? Dude, Justin, you're the starter. Okay, go get him, Tiger. and the other guy's on the side, whoever, if we draft Sanders or whatever or something, he's on the sideline and, might sign Fields for 2 years or so, right? Until Sanders is ready. Then you put Sanders in there, but then you still got Justin Fields to back him up. Cool. Sounds good to me. Or, if you say, once again, you get Fields, right? If you don't get yourself a quarterback next year, because you look, if you win a couple games and now you're picking 6th or 7th or something like that, and Ward and Sanders are gone before they come to you, get to you, and if you're not thrilled to death with Milrow, right? So maybe you can take a quarterback in one of the later rounds, right? But then you're going to wind up using Fields, right, as he's your main guy, right? And then hopefully maybe in the 26th draft, maybe you'll get somebody. Right, but so we got some bridge quarterbacks here to talk about. 6 bridge quarterback options for the Giants. There are some intriguing players who might be available. Whether or not the Giants are able to select their quarterback of the future in 2025 NFL draft, they will need a bridge quarterback to hold down the fort, or at least a veteran backup option. With apologies to fans of Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito, right now it looks like neither of the Giants' current starting options is the answer. So here are a list. They got 6 guys, but they talk about a 7th guy in here. So I'm going to go over the 7th guy as well, too. The first 5 are pending free agents. Jameis Winston. Now, I said this before. Now, I don't break down film and stuff like that, but you watch the games and stuff like that. Jameis can throw you into a game. He can also throw you out of a game. The guy can throw the ball. The guy can complete passes. The guy can throw touchdown passes. The guy can throw for a lot of yards, yada, 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 but he can also throw pick sixes, interceptions, and stuff like that. Like he did the other night. So Monday night's performance against the Denver Broncos was everything. He threw for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, including a 70-yarder. He also threw 3 interceptions, including 2 that turned into pick sixes. This was the full Jameis Winston experience. Yep, that's him. Having Winston as your quarterback is exhilarating and excruciating at the same time. The floor and the ceiling are a lock on heavy doses of steroids. It is a wild ride. It might be fun, at least sometimes, while the Giants wait for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or whoever to develop, or for Archie Manning to arrive. So, there's no denying Winston. Absolutely no denying, the talent's there. It's just that, the turnovers is just, the killers. Next one they got, Sam Darnold, right? So maybe the Vikings got our quarterback. Maybe we take Sam Darnold back, right? But it goes to show you, right? Like Sam Darnold with the right scheme, the right coaching, the right situation, the right players, That guy's doing pretty good this year, ain't he? Didn't look like this when he was at, Carolina, San Francisco, the Jets. Didn't look like that, but he's looking like a Hall of Fame quarterback this year with the Vikings. Just goes to show you, right? Maybe the right situation, right? Right coaching, right scheme, right? Guy's not doing too bad for himself this year. So Sam Darnold, the 2018 number 3 overall pick, is having the best year of his career. So the Vikings got the 2018 3rd pick, and they get the 2019 6th pick. And because he's the bridge for J.J. McCarthy now, the kick right square in the cojones could be like if they were to let Sam Darnold go, and then they bring McCarthy in, and it's like, it's not that good. We had somebody who was good, and we just let him go. Oh man, so. The idea makes sense, but there's a problem. Darnold is almost playing too well. He has a career-high 23 touchdown passes, career highs in passing rating of 102.5, QBR at 56. He's just 77 yards from a career high in passing yards, which he will get in the first half of this week's game. The Vikings are 10-2. 27-year-old Darnold might have already played his way out of a bridge quarterback territory and into a franchise quarterback contract on the free agent market this offseason. So we'll have to wait and see. And they bring up Justin Fields. Now this is where we talk about two guys, right? Justin Fields, both Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Fields and Russell Wilson can be free agents at the end of the season. The way he is playing and the way the Steelers are winning with him behind center. The person who wrote this article says, I have to believe that Pittsburgh will sign Wilson to a multi-year deal after the season's over with. So, obviously they'll have the first shot at signing Russell Wilson, right? You also, Wilson, I don't know, whatever. He came here and we couldn't, just think if we had Russell Wilson. I'm not saying he may be the best quarterback in the league, but, we had Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was in the house for the New York Football Giants, and he left without a contract. And he's doing pretty good with Pittsburgh. So, imagine if something happened. Of course, you don't know what happened, what the contract was, the problem, what the problems were, right? But Russell Wilson was in the house, and then he left the house, and that was with Pittsburgh. So, obviously, the way they're going right now, the way they're looking, that was their biggest problem, right? Early on, they were winning games like 2-1, 1-0, 3.5 to 2.5. They were, they needed a quarterback, right? They lost the game I went to. My son and I went to. We went out to Pittsburgh. My son's a Cowboy fan, so we saw the Cowboy game. Russell Wilson was on the sideline. Yeah, Justin Fields. I think they scored 17 points. Yeah, Wilson comes in, and now they're putting up some points. So that was the biggest problem. So Wilson's got them going. They got the defense. They just need to put some points up on the board, and that's what they've been doing with Russell Wilson there. So it'd be, really, you think Pittsburgh and you think defense, right? Just kind of right. And you got Tomlin there. Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons, right? So basically, what their problem was they needed a quarterback that could move the ball consistently and get some points. That's what they were lacking in the beginning. They had a lot of low-scoring games that they were winning, right? But now they're putting some points up on the board, so it would behoove the Steelers to throw some money, some do-re-mi at Russell Wilson if they can. I don't know what their salary cap situation is, but it looks like Russell Wilson is the better option for the Steelers than a Justin Fields, right? So, Justin Fields, could come available. It says when Fields was with the Bears, readers used to ask, who wrote this here? Oh, Ed Valentine. Okay. Readers used to ask me, meaning Ed Valentine, about the idea of trading for Fields to replace Jones. I was against that at the time because of his rookie contract and the idea that the Giants would have quickly faced a fifth-year option decision. None of that is in play now. Fields will likely never justify the Bears swapping places with the Giants, right? Remember, we got Kadarius Toney out of it. He is inconsistent. He is an inconsistent passer. And while Pittsburgh was 4-2 under his stewardship, as I said, they were winning games like 2-1. Yeah, they weren't scoring a lot of points. The Steelers are clearly better with Wilson running the show. Still, Fields will just be 26 years old. He has 44 starts under his belt. He has raw athleticism and ability. Yes, he does. He might still be one of those guys who, if he hits the right circumstance, like maybe a Dable, right, can become more than just a bridge quarterback. A career low 0.6 interception percentage rate and a career high 93.3 passer rating this season shows Fields might be trending in the right direction. Jacoby Brissett. Perhaps nobody in the NFL does the journeyman backup quarterback, bridge quarterback role as well as Brissett. The 32-year-old filled that role for Drake May this season with the Patriots. He has been with the Patriots twice, Indianapolis Colts, the Dolphins, the Browns, and the Commanders. He has 53 starts in his 86 career games and has been a full season starter 3 times. Brissett is what he is, a good backup or adequate placeholder. He fits the description perfectly. Yes, he does. Marcus Mariota. 2015 first-round pick by the Titans, the 31-year-old Mariota has been a full-time starter just once in the last 5 seasons. He went 5-8, 13 starts with the Falcons in 2021. Mariota now has been with 5 teams. He has 74 starts with 92 NFL regular season games. He still has mobility and can be used in the quarterback run game, something Brian Daboll would appreciate if Daboll is still the head coach. As a former first-round pick who entered a difficult situation in Tennessee, the Titans were 2-14 the year before they drafted him and went 3-13 in his rookie season. Mariota has the perfect experience to help guide a rookie quarterback through the NFL transition. Yeah, obviously, Mariota is not nowhere near a long-term solution. Then they have the wild card. You like that, huh? Kirk Cousins. There you go, Captain Kirk of the Atlanta Falcons. He would be 37 next season. He isn't mobile. He's having an up-and-down season with the Falcons, and he might be expensive. Cousins, though, also seems likely to be available. The Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr., number 8 overall, and it seems inevitable that the mediocre Falcons who are 6-6 turns things over to Penix eventually, maybe even before the year is over. Yeah, I could certainly see that. If they're like 6-9 and out of the playoffs, right? And they got 2 games to go, I think we might hand the keys over to Penix. Let him get some playing experience. The Falcons might be looking to move on from Cousins after this year. Would they be willing to eat some of the 3 years remaining on Cousins' 4-year, $180 million contract? My God. Jeez. That's. I can't see the Giants bringing Kirk Cousins in here for like whatever the hell it was, $40-something million a year. It's like, wow. He's 37. He'll be 38 next year. And I don't know. He's a good passer and all of that, but he's certainly going to be start going on a decline. So there's guys out there. All right. There's certainly guys out there. Right. Who knows? Once again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, what's going to happen, but it just, still got Tommy DeVito. We got Drew Lock. You look at it, right? Lock didn't throw the pick 6. Giants lost 27-20. Pick 6. That's right, with the extra point 7, right? Take that off the board. Now we're 20-20. Lock fumbles the ball. 6 plays later, the Cowboys scored another touchdown. Right? The ball security, if he doesn't turn the ball over, of course, I know, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You can't, it is what it is. But, Giants had 20 points. You take those turnovers away, maybe the Cowboys, maybe they don't win. But so it'll be interesting to see also what the Giants do with Locke and with because if they do decide to bring Locke back, it's they're not paying $15-20 million for him. It is what it is. Now you're not sure once again if Locke's going to want to come back either, but it is what it is. But once again, lots of interesting things after the season's over. It's kind of like it's like the soap opera as the Giants turn. So it's going to be very interesting and exciting too. Very, very. It's always exciting, right? When you hopefully we get our new quarterback next season. If we get him in the draft, whether it's whoever, Milroe, Ward, Sanders, whoever. It's exciting. It's going to be an exciting time for it. Give you some hope, right? So, all right, then we got this. I show this here. A decade of despair. How we got here. Yeah, it's. The last 10 years has just been like just a total, like just absolute dumpster fire. It's just been on this poor guy right here. Of course, he's certainly not, not guilty, right? He certainly has, Mr. Mara certainly has his share. He has his hand in the cookie jar as far as with how bad the Giants have been past. I mean, we can go on and on and on for hours, I'm sure, talking about this. But says this is a nice article from the NorthJersey.com. Inside the Giants' decade of despair, how they got here, and this regime's fight to survive. Giants were stumbling through another losing season back in 1978 when they had to endure the embarrassment of the play that would live in franchise infamy. A miracle of the Meadowlands. Indeed, the miracle of the Meadowlands happened. And miracle of Meadowlands do happen. That was the breaking point for a group of nearly 100 Giant fans that dubbed themselves the Giants Fans Committee, and they were determined to make a statement. 3 weeks after the Bizarchic fumble, those 95 members of the Giants Fans Committee gathered inside a banquet room at the Ramada Inn in Clifton, New Jersey, a meeting place inside a hotel in the shadow of the Meadowlands. A fee of $3 each paid for the room rental, as well as coffee, orange juice, and pastries. Oh, sounds nice. It was there that the committee also took up a collection to pay for a small plane to carry over a banner over the old Giants Stadium at the game later that day. The message in the third quarter of an eventual win over the Cardinals read, 15 years of lousy football, we've had enough. In the aftermath, the Giants were coerced by the league to hire George Young as general manager. They eventually promoted defensive coordinator, obviously, Bill Parcells. Both were enshrined in Canton as members of the Hall of Fame. So how did these Giants get anywhere close to those times of despair from the 70s once again? To appreciate how far the Giants have fallen, let's press the rewind button and trace the organizational missteps with ownership, yet again facing questions about starting over and whether general managers Shane and Dable deserve a fourth year. Giants are 2-10. Oh, my God. You have to go back to when this current slide began during the 2015 season to truly get the complete picture, as the Giants have suffered through 8 campaigns of double-digit losses since. Tom Coughlin knew his defense was going to have its personnel problems that year, even with Steve Spagnuolo back as defensive coordinator, so he would have to compensate with decisions on offense, quite frankly, that were out of character. So, I mean, the one thing is that, Reese went out and like he was at Gurley World and just spent a bunch of money. So after Coughlin exited, Reese still remained as general manager, brought in Ben McAdoo. But the defense was no longer going to be the albatross it was the year before, thanks to a $200 million splurge. Olivier Vernon, Snacks Harrison, Janoris Jenkins, and Keenan Robinson. The free agent additions were significant upgrades and changed the look of a defense that led the way in McAdoo's first year to an 11-5 record and a playoff berth. There were signs at the end of the things, not as promising as they may have appeared when everything came crashing down in Green Bay, the infamous boat trip, right? And we got blown out in the playoffs. Maybe we should have been seeing what happened next. Ben McAdoo and the crumbling Giants locker room. Long before Mara issued his playful yet prophetic from Bono to Bozo warning on Dable about how things can change quickly for coaches and teams, especially in the Big Apple, there was the what happened with McAdoo. Year 2 began with McAdoo. Now the slick back, Rico Suave looking McAdoo, right? Shared a Rudyard Kipling poem and a fable about Frazier the Lion in team meeting and training camp. And things just got stranger as the year progressed. The defense that led the playoff run the year before started splintering quickly. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie and Landon Collins had their issues with Eli Apple, who sucked. DRC was suspended for a week when he left the facility during practice. Apple and Jackrabbit did not return from the bye week on time, and in trying to protect the team, McAdoo twisted the truth publicly on several occasions. Then, of course, came the coup de grace with the bungled benching of Eli Manning. Then we brought Pat Shurmur in. Pat Shermer was given a job to succeed McAdoo for two big reasons. He was supposed to be a calming influence as opposed to McAdoo with a locker room that finished the 2017 season engulfed in chaos. The adult in the room is how Gettleman described Shermer. He viewed his opportunity with Big Blue as a second chance after failing as a head coach in Cleveland. And he had the same exact record in Cleveland as he did with the Giants. So he's a good offensive coordinator. He's just not a good head coach. There was also the influence Shermer would ultimately have in picking the next quarterback after one season with Manning back as a starter. Shermer and Mara were enamored with Josh Allen. Others in the front office had good things to say of Sam Darnold. But ultimately, Gettleman convinced all involved that the best player in the draft was running back from Penn State, and they could get another year out of Manning, and Saquon Barkley would be their golden ticket to an offensive resurgence. So, and of course, then the Giants had been eyeing Justin Herbert since 2018, but when he went back to Oregon the following year, they pivoted. Gettleman shipped Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns, heading into Shermer's second season, angering a generation of fans who only positive Giants memories were attached to their accomplishments of number 13. Barkley became the face of the franchise. Gettleman fell in love with Daniel Jones at the Senior Bowl, and that was that. Shermer believed in Jones, too, and seemed poised to be one to guide him as they moved forward together. But after finishing 4-12, the Giants fired Shermer and kept Gettleman, setting themselves up for another heartache and disappointment. So then they bring in Joe Judge and the Great Divide. Judge was hired to be the CEO head coach, someone who could dip into every facet of the game while delegating responsibilities. That started out as a novel concept that could work, but everything that followed offered unforeseen and nearly impossible to overcome challenges, especially for a first-time head coach at any level. Of course, there was a COVID-19 pandemic with ramifications. For example, Judge's two teams never had an indoor weight room, and the players never met with their position coaches in position meeting rooms. By year two, the Giants' expectations were higher than they should have been coming off a 6-win season. But the thing was, with Judge, right, his first season, they started 1-7. They finished 6-10, and somehow with that division, they almost went to the playoffs. But they finished the 29 Judge's first season, right, with what was it? They were 5-3. They went from 1-7 to 6-10, but they finished 5-3. So the last 8 games of the season, they were 5-3. So, yeah, so it was kind of like, there may be a little bit of room for optimism going into Judge's second season, but they also beat Dallas on the final day of the regular season and had a chance at winning the division title. But then, of course, that's when the Eagles tanked because they're worthless pieces of human trash, and they gave Washington the division title because they tanked. But the Giants wound up with a better draft choice, so it is what it is. Of course, obviously, Judge, that was an absolute, Judge let his disgust and frustration with Gettleman affect how he coached the team. He believed that by exposing the mistakes Gettleman made, and very publicly with the backup quarterback spot, that ownership would see it his way. Outside of the organization, Gettleman was no longer diligent in scouting players, becoming more obvious which way this was headed. It was as if he was going through the motions, and Judge set out on a path believing he had to do it all, or at least try, and nothing went right. The Giants had a GM with no regard for anything but his opinions, and a head coach who had so much conviction in how he did the job, he ran victory formation from his own goal line to prove a point about the GM, their non-existent relationship, and the quarterbacks he forced him to play with. And when Judge became a punchline league-wide, it made it impossible to keep him as head coach. Whoops. Yeah, so of course, him and head coach, they got rid of Gettleman. Gettleman retired, or however it wound up going. The Giants are 50-92-1 since Coughlin's departure following the 2015 season. They have hired and fired 3 head coaches in his wake: McAdoo, Shermer, and Judge, with an interim tag for Spagnuolo for 4 games, who wound up being 1-3. Giants have put themselves in this position, and that started well before Dable and Shane got here. They inherited one of the most challenging jobs in the NFL at the time. Suggesting otherwise is being just crazy. Shane and Dable have made mistakes. They came here as a first-time GM and head coach duo, but by most accounts were at the top of the market with plenty of suitors. They were in lockstep after building a foundation that was sustaining success, and there's plenty of reason to believe that they still are. Dable went out and squeezed every ounce of what many expected to be a 4-win team in 2022, completely altering Shane's plans for that offseason, when we all know they had their sights set on one of the quarterbacks. But it is what it is. Too much attention was paid to the need in Shane's first 2 drafts as he set out to establish his own personnel and scouting departments, and the results have been hit and miss. A foundation that needed to be rebuilt still has areas to address in order for this team to turn the corner. Another strong offseason in combination with the continued development of younger players on the roster and those close games that are being lost might be swung in their favor. It's a leap of faith yet again for ownership, and while Mara offered a vote of confidence last month, these last 5 games could paint a different picture of how this is all looked up. Have Shane and Dable shown some semblance of competence, and a plan, any willingness to work together? Yes, and with the perspective of where the Giants were in 2021 after where they were in 2019, 17, and in 15, the thought of giving this regime the length of a standard 4-year rookie contract is not too much to ask. They might be the only way to prevent the Giants' regrettably history over the past decade from repeating itself once again. So, a lot of, it's just a lot. I mean, you can go over each season and all of that, but I mean, it's just one of the biggest things is that, we're going back is that, now we're on our 3rd GM, right? We had Reese, he's gone. We had Gettleman, right? He's gone. Obviously, now we got Shane, and then the coaches, so one of the biggest things, the biggest problems is constant turnover. One of the things is that you can see a little bit on the good side, right? We're saying the first couple of years, you can start looking at Shane's 2022 and 2023 draft class, and it's kind of like, okay, all right. But you look at this year's one, right? Things are starting to swing on the way up. Now, can he duplicate that again next year? Right? If he can duplicate that again next year, especially if we get a compensatory pick, might get a 4th round, might have 2 4th rounders, a 3rd, a 2nd, a 1st. We can get our quarterback, and we get a few other guys, another 3 or 4 guys that we can plug in there, maybe be starters or big time contributors. Right? And then you go out in free agency and bring in 1 or 2 guys because we'll have some money to spend. We can certainly add 4 or 5 6 good players to this roster, starters. So we'll have to wait and see. But it would be so nice if one of these, if something would go right for the New York Football Giants. It seems like we're just like Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray. It's just like it's like over and over and over. It's like just bad news over and over and over. But on maybe some good news here, right? Inside Malik's chase for the NFL rookie reception record. Now, he's on. Unfortunately, he wound up missing a couple games. So obviously that wound up, hurting some of his stats. Also, another thing that's hurting his stats is obviously, he's on. This is his 3rd quarterback. Right? He started with Daniel Jones. He doesn't have Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball. Tom Brady's not out there throwing him the ball. Right? Josh Allen's not throwing the ball, So unfortunately, it is what it is. He gets drafted high. Why do you get drafted high? Well, usually, when you get drafted out, a team that drafts you high sucks, and that's the Giants. They suck, and of course, they let their best weapon get away. Now, quite possibly, if the Giants kept Saquon, right, that would open up the passing game because more people would have to pay a lot of attention with Saquon, right? So Malik might get some, may not be covered as close maybe as he is right now, whatever. But once again, you need a good quarterback. The Giants don't have a good quarterback. So, but if we look inside here of his side the numbers, Malik Neighbors chased for NFL rookie reception record. I mean, it would be rather remarkable with this crappy team with 2 wins if he goes out there and gets the record. I hope he does. That'd be fantastic. Malik Neighbors is on pace to shatter the NFL rookie record for receptions, but even if he tops the current mark, he might not own the new one. Confused? It's understandable. Let's sort it out. Neighbors, the Giants' first-round pick, has 75 catches in 10 games. He missed 2 games with a concussion. 7.5 catches per game. That projects to 112 receptions if he plays each of the final 5 games and maintains the same productivity. The rookie record of 105 receptions was set by Puka Nacua in 2023. So if Neighbors continues to catch passes at or close to his current rate, the rookie record could be his, and he still missed 2 games. Now we say could be because another rookie is ahead of him in total receptions, but just behind him in catches per game. Brock Bowers, taken 13th overall. 7 spots behind Neighbors, has caught 84 passes, tops among the 2024 rookies. He has played in all 12 games and averages exactly 7 receptions a contest. That projects to 119 catches in a full season. So Neighbors can exceed Nakua's record total from a year ago, but find himself second on the rookie reception list if Bowers keeps catching 7 passes per game. Both rookies aren't scheduled to join an exclusive club. Only 3 rookies in NFL history have 100 catch seasons. Anquan Boldin with 101 in 2003, Jalen Waddle with 104 in 2021, and Nacua last year. Rookie receiving records don't have the same staying power they once did. Now, not only will Nakua's standard fall less than a year after he established it, but Bowers is just 2 catches shy of matching the receiving record for rookie tight ends. That was set by Detroit's Sam Laporta, who caught 86 passes in 2023. Yes, I mean, it's like, we're playing more and more games. Everybody's throwing the ball more. The passings, the routes have become, it's more developed and advanced, and so I mean, the records more and more records will fall like this as time goes by. It's especially because you're playing more games. It's almost inevitable, right? Neighbors' 75 receptions are the most by any NFL player in his first 10 career games. If he catches 5 passes against the Saints on Sunday at MetLife Stadium, he will hold the 11-game record. Neighbors is already second on that list and is one of 3 players who earned their way on in his Giants uniform. I did this before. I mean, most reception in the first 11 career games. 11. I mean, we still got 3 of the top 5. Odell Beckham Jr., Neighbors, and Barkley. 3 of the top 5. I did a video on this last night. It's just crazy, right? And the Giants are still looking for it. It's like, we've had these explosive players, right? And we're still looking for offensive firepower. It's like, we had these guys. Why don't we have them anymore? Based on consistency this season, Neighbors is likely to replace Beckham at the top of the chart. He is the only player in NFL history with 5+ receptions and 50+ receiving yards in 9 of his first 10 career games. Neighbors has at least 6 catches in each of his last 5 games, tied for the 3rd longest streak in the NFL rookie since 1970. Beckham had 9 in a row in 2014, and Detroit's Amon-Ra St. Brown it was 6 games in 2021. Neighbors' 7.5 receptions per game ranks second in NFL history by a rookie with 10 games plus played. The current record holder is Beckham, who averaged 7.58 catches in 2014. Neighbors stays on his 112 catch pace. He will obliterate the Giants' rookie reception record of Beckham's in 2014 and Barkley in 2018. Each caught 91 passes in their debut season. Neighbors caught 8 passes in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day game to move past Jeremy Shockey, 74 catches in 2002, and into third place on the Giants' rookie list. Neighbors' 69 receiving yards against the Cowboys increased his season total to 740 yards. That moved them past Sterling Shepard, Barkley, Evan Ingram, and in the 5th place tie with teammate Darius Slayton on the Giants' rookie list. The top 4, right, is Beckham with 1305, Shockey with 894, Bobby Johnson 795, and Hakeem Nicks with 790 in 2009. So he'll Neighbors will let's see. I don't know. He's not gonna beat Beckham's 1305, but he'll move past Shockey, Bobby Johnson, and Hakeem Nicks. So he'll probably be number 2 as long as he stays healthy, of course. Neighbors need 60 yards to total 800 for the season. In 2023, the Giants were one of 4 NFL teams with no 800-yard receivers, joining New England, Denver, and Green Bay. Neighbors is on pace to finish with 1,110 yards. So, I mean, the thing is that, you look at it is that even as good, right, as Neighbors been, right, because he missed two games, though, right? Looks like Bowers is going to smash the record for rookie receptions in a season, and Neighbors is going to be number 2, right? Although Neighbors is catching more balls per game than Bowers. I mean, if Bowers stays healthy, it looks like Bowers, I guess, played all 17 games, where if Neighbors stays healthy, Neighbors are only playing 15 games. But regardless, I mean, if you look at Neighbors' accomplishments, the absolute crap offensive line, it's been good at times, but the third-string quarterbacks, second-string quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is our quarterback. Our offense, it's just horrible. And so for him to go out there and catch all those passes if he plays 15 games is absolutely remarkable. But just goes to show you what a fantastic pick Malik Neighbors was at number 6. And then we got, and this kind of ties in with like Saquon right here. Right. I mean, and this happens with every team. This is just not so much the Giants. I mean, you can't just look at the Giants and go, oh, yeah, they're the only team this happened to. Yep. I mean, everybody, Joe Shane's an idiot. Yep. This hasn't happened to any of the other 31 teams. Now, this happens to every team, right? But, they bringing this up here shows the success of the ex-Giant players, right? Kind of makes things hurt even a little bit more, right? I mean, so obviously the Giants players that Shane hasn't re-signed or let go or whatever, that are playing elsewhere who are doing really well. But there are also guys that are playing elsewhere who maybe aren't doing so well. But that's not the point of this article here. This article here is we got. Successes of ex-Giants deepens the misery for New York and the GM Joe Shane. But the thing is that, you can't sign everybody. I mean, a lot of these players are, command some money, and the NFL does not want that. They don't want, they don't want that, right? It's just, unfortunately, it's pick and choose who you're going to keep and who you're going to let go. It is what it is, right? So, and he can't keep everybody. They talk about James Bradbury. Shane released the veteran Bradbury because he desperately needed the $10.1 million in salary cap savings as he tried to dig out of the financial mess he inherited. Yep. Giants had only a shade above $5 million in space at the time and needed far more than that to sign their rookie class. Yep. And get through the 2022 season. It stunk that Bradbury signed with the Eagles, and he had a great season. ending up as a second-team All-Pro. Bradbury was terrible in 2023. Was moved to safety this year before landing on injury reserve. He hasn't played it down. Well, it said, it said verdict. This was the right move. It was, I mean, he had no choice. Shane had no choice, right? Then they talk about Evan Ingram. From a Giants perspective, it stinks that Ingram had to go somewhere else to become the player that GM Jerry Reese thought he could be when he made Ingram his final first-round pick in 2017. Ingram was at the time a dynamic receiving tight end for the Giants. At times, his penchant for drops, especially costly drops and fumbles at critical moments, turned him into a target for frustrated fans. Ingram had his best 2 seasons of his career since joining the Jaguars. Verdict, this was the right move for both sides. Ingram needed a fresh start and has probably benefited from the low-key atmosphere in Jacksonville. Giants were also starting over, and letting Ingram go was the best move for them. And they got Julian Love, right? His first 3 seasons with the Giants, it was always a belief that the versatile former 4th-round pick could be more than the Giants were letting him be. He finally got to start full-time in 2022, delivered a breakout season, and capitalized on that by signing a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Seahawks. He made the Pro Bowl last season and has signed a 3-year, $36 million extension with the Seahawks. Giants made an effort to sign J. Love with special sauce, but per The Athletic, they offered him a 3-year, $22.5 million deal during the 2022 season. Love thought he could do better in free agency the following offseason. It turned out he could not. But by the time Love's representatives presented the offer to the Giants, they chose not to match, even though there was less money than what they had reportedly offered him. So I said, and they go, verdict. This was unfortunate because Love is a good player. It would have helped the Giants to keep. I don't think it falls into the mistake category because the Giants made Love a quality offer. He rejected it, chose free agency, and when players have options, sometimes they move on. So I mean, it would have been nice. I mean, the Giants, once again, I mean, the Giants, had I mean, one of the problems, is like, look at our secondary, right? Love, McKinney, so it's a shame, but once again, it's you can't pay everybody $10-20 million. The NFL does not allow that. You have the salary cap. It is what it is. Then they talk, of course, about Leonard Williams after he had the 91-yard interception return this week against the Jets. Williams got a 3-year, $64.5 million contract with $26.2 million guaranteed from the Seahawks this offseason. So, I mean, he's getting paid, $21 million a year. So, I mean, unfortunately, you can't pay Brian Burns 29, Sexy 22, 23. Kayvon's making whatever he's making, 6, 7, and Williams at like 20-something million. You can't have I don't know what that would be, 50, 67, like an $80 million front wall. It's almost impossible. You can't do that. Fans were incensed by Dave Gettleman trading for Williams, and then again by the 3-year, $63 million contract that Gettleman gave him. The Seahawks gave up 2 picks and then paid Williams even more than Gettleman did. And then, let's not forget, when we traded him away, what Shane got in return was phenomenal, right? They talk about, let's see, the verdict here. Verdict. Mixed. Trading Williams was the right move. It was probably something Shane should have done this season with Azeez Ojulari and Darius Slayton, though. Neither would have brought anything close to the return the Giants got for Williams. No. The trade allowed the Giants to swap a 2nd-round pick for Brian Burns. So, right, he's an excellent player who is 4 years younger than Williams. They used the 2nd-round pick on safety Tyler Nubin, also a good thing. So, is what it is. And of course, we got Saquon Barkley. I mean, obviously he's all over the news, right? And of course, Xavier McKinney, he's still tied for the league lead, I think. 4-year, $67 million contract, $23 million guaranteed from the Packers. Let's see. Truth be told, in 4 seasons with the Giants, McKinney never played like one of the best 4 safeties in football. Well, now he's getting paid like one of the top 4 safeties in football. McKinney has 7 interceptions in 12 games, a career high, after having just 9 in 61 games over 4 seasons with the Giants. That's embarrassing since the Giants have just 1 interception all year. The thing is, with this one, with McKinney, Shane's belief in his positional value meant that he was never going to pay his safety the way the Packers paid McKinney. Don't forget that McKinney's self-inflicted hand injury suffered in 2022 bye week in Cabo undoubtedly cost him some trust and goodwill from the front office. McKinney's public criticism of Wink Martindale also could not have played well in the front office. So, it's just, this happens with every team. It's just not, the New York Giants. You can go from one team to the next team to the teams that they go to teams and players that they did not resign, traded away, whatever, right? That they chose not to. And there's are players from every team, right, that are no longer with that team that are doing well out in the NFL. It's just not the Giants. It's a business decision. A lot of times it's a business decision. You can't. I said, with the defensive tackles, right? You can't, or if you're going to pay Sexy $23 million a year and you're going to pay Leonard Williams $22 million a year, well, now you don't have money. Now you can't pay an edge rusher. So it's like positional value, what Shane believes in, right? He values the edge rushers. He values the tackles, maybe a defensive tackle, right? If there's going to be another defensive tackle next to Sexy, he's probably not going to pay somebody $25 million a year for that. It's probably not going to happen. That way, maybe you can see he's trying to fill the roles with cheaper guys and also fill the roles of defensive tackles through the draft, right? But we're still looking for somebody else next to Sexy. But like with McKinney, he was not going to pay McKinney $17 million a season. Is what it is. Unfortunately, with Saquon, right? He was not going to pay Saquon. He offered him. Saquon turned it down, right? But he wasn't going to pay him, Saquon 14 or 15 million, positional value. I said, if you go back and look over the past whatever Super Bowl winners, you look at the running backs. If the Eagles go to the Super Bowl this season, that'll be a huge, change. But if you look at the winning teams, right, the running backs, winning teams who win the Super Bowl, how much they're paying their top running back? It's a couple $1 million, right? You don't need, as I said once again, it's good for the Eagles. They have no salary cap in Philadelphia. They bring in these players and they push all the money down the road so they can basically bring in whoever they want. They have 2 number 1 wide receivers. They have a phenomenal offensive line. They have a very good quarterback, a great tight end. The offensive line coach, Jeff, I can't never remember his last name, is phenomenal. He might be the best guy in the NFL or top 2 or so or whatever. As I said, there's no salary cap in Philadelphia. Howie Roseman pays anybody whatever they want. He just pushes all the money down. He owes like $400 million in contracts, but he pushed all the money down the road. A lot of the other teams choose not to do that because it screws up the salary cap going down the road. The Eagles are in win now mode, so Howie Roseman's bringing in all these guys, paying all these guys, right? Like I said, like Saquon. That's why Saquon He's paid him 13, 14 a year, but he only counts like toward 2 or 3 million toward the cap this season. Pushed all the money down the road, right? And he has like 3 or 4 void years on the end of his contract, Saquon, right? But as I said, what Saquon's doing now with the Eagles, he was never going to do with the Giants. We don't have the offensive line. We don't have the offensive firepower. We got injuries. The Eagles don't have injuries. Yeah, so he was never going to get the same numbers with the Giants. It is what it is. I said, but this happens with every team, right? And I said it's a lot of it's just business decisions, right? You can't pay everybody. You'd like to, but you can't. The NFL won't allow it. There's the salary cap, so it is what it is. Shane's building the team his way, and fortunately, right now it doesn't look like it's working out too well, but it is what it is. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 30 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay, that's once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.